When you stop caring, everything starts to work out. Carl Jung, and the power of letting go, self-discovery and shadow work. Explained. Letting go is not giving up. It's not passive. It's a conscious decision to stop resisting what is. Carl Jung taught that much of our suffering comes from clinging to personas, expectations, and outcomes. But when we release our grip, we create space for something deeper, transformation. Jung believed that the unconscious holds the key to healing. When we let go of the ego's control, we allow the unconscious to speak. This is when dreams become vivid, synchronicities appear, and forgotten emotions rise. These aren't signs of chaos, they're invitations to awaken. Shadow work begins here with surrender. We must be willing to look at what we've denied, our anger, shame, and jealousy. Not to judge them, but to understand them. As Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Letting go also means releasing the need for external validation. Jung taught that the path to individuation, the process of becoming your true self, requires you to detach from collective opinion. What others think is noise. What your soul knows is the truth. When you stop chasing approval, you find inner peace. When you stop fearing judgment, you discover freedom. And in that freedom, your authentic self begins to emerge. Not because you tried to find it, but because you let go of everything you're not. Why self-awareness starts with shadow work. Carl Jung's path to knowing yourself. Self-awareness is often misunderstood. It's not just about recognizing your strengths, it's about confronting your blind spots. Jung's concept of the shadow is central here. The unconscious parts of ourselves that we reject or ignore. These parts don't disappear. They operate in the background, shaping our decisions, reactions, and relationships. Shadow work is the process of making these unconscious parts conscious. And it's the beginning of true self-knowledge. Jung believed that what we repress doesn't just go away, it festers. And eventually, it bursts through in projections, when we blame others for what we can't face in ourselves. That's why shadow work is so essential. It breaks the cycle of self-deception. Doing this work isn't easy. You might uncover memories you've buried, truths you've denied, but every shadow you meet holds a gift, clarity, freedom, and peace. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So ask yourself, what am I avoiding? What do I criticize in others that I might carry within me? Self-awareness begins with questions, and it deepens with courage. The courage to see yourself as you are, not as you wish to be. The philosophy of not caring. Carl Jung and the art of inner peace. What if caring too much is the problem? Not caring in the sense of being numb, but in the sense of being entangled. Jung believed that peace comes when we stop over-identifying with our roles, our achievements, and our failures. When you care too much about things outside your control, you become a slave to them. Opinions, outcomes, appearances. These are illusions of power. Jung and Stoic philosophers alike urged us to release them, to focus on the inner world where true agency lives. Not caring doesn't mean indifference, it means discernment, knowing what matters, knowing what doesn't, and living aligned with your soul, not your ego. This is radical, because society teaches the opposite, but inner freedom starts when you stop playing the game. Carl Jung once wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." When you stop chasing validation, you awaken to your own worth. You stop needing to be liked. You start needing to be real. And realness is power. So breathe, detach, recenter. And remember, you don't have to fix everything. You don't have to be everything. You are enough. Not when others approve, but when you accept yourself. That is the essence of inner peace. From fragmentation to wholeness. Jung's guide to personal integration. So many people today feel divided within themselves. They feel one thing but act another. They wear a smile but carry grief. They chase success yet feel empty. According to Carl Jung, this is the result of living in a fragmented state where parts of the self are disowned, suppressed, or unknown. True healing, Jung believed, comes from integration. Integration means unifying the conscious and unconscious aspects of who you are. It's not about fixing yourself, it's about knowing yourself fully. This is the essence of individuation, the central process in Jung's psychology. Fragmentation happens when we internalize too many external voices: parents, peers, culture, and media. These voices shape who we think we should be, often at the expense of who we truly are. Over time, we adopt roles. Personal integration asks us to take off these masks, to meet the parts of ourselves we've hidden: the wounded inner child, the raging protector, the lonely dreamer. It requires deep honesty and courage. Jung encouraged people to dialogue with their inner world through techniques like active imagination and dream analysis. He believed that our dreams, fantasies, and emotions were messages from the unconscious, symbols calling us back to wholeness. One of Jung's most profound ideas was that every person carries both light and shadow. Integration is not about becoming all light. It's about holding the tension of opposites: joy and sorrow, strength and vulnerability, and courage and fear. This work is not abstract, it's embodied. It's how you show up in your relationships. It's how you treat yourself when you fail. It's how you make decisions when no one is watching. Integration brings integrity, wholeness that's felt in every part of your life. You'll know you're integrating when you stop needing to prove yourself. When your inner critic softens, when your values become your compass, when you feel rooted, even in chaos. Integration is not a destination, it's a way of being. It's a practice. You revisit it daily, in your thoughts, your interactions, your reflections. And each time you do, you bring more of yourself online. You stop living from fragments and start living from the whole. So ask yourself, what parts of me have I been avoiding? What masks do I still wear? What would it mean to accept everything I am, not just the polished parts? Start small, be honest, be kind, and let that be the beginning of your return to wholeness. Spiritual awakening through Jungian psychology. Becoming the self. Spiritual awakening is not a lightning strike, it's a slow unfolding. Carl Jung viewed the spiritual path not as a religious journey, but as a deep psychological one. To become whole, we must descend into ourselves, confront the unconscious, and rise with new awareness. This is the path of individuation, the soul's awakening. This awakening doesn't bypass pain, it moves through it. Jung believed that suffering often signals the soul's desire for growth. When our outer life no longer aligns with our inner truth, we experience anxiety, depression, or existential dread, not as dysfunction, but as an invitation. Jungian spirituality invites us to explore the symbolic meaning behind our struggles. Nightmares, breakdowns, repeated patterns, these are messages from the unconscious. The self, as Jung defined it, uses symbols and dreams to guide us toward greater wholeness. The self is not the ego, it is the totality of who we are, conscious and unconscious, light and shadow. Jung taught that we are born with an inner blueprint for wholeness, but modern life distracts us from it. Awakening is remembering what we already are. This process often involves a breakdown of the ego. We begin questioning everything, beliefs, identities, and attachments. It can feel like chaos, but Jung emphasized that chaos is not the enemy. It's the crucible of transformation. Through shadow work, active imagination, and inner reflection, we slowly reconnect with the self. We stop living from personas and start living from presence, from truth, from soul. And with that shift comes peace, not because life gets easier, but because we get real. Spiritual awakening is not an escape from reality, it's an embrace of it. The sacred is not somewhere else. It's right here, in your emotions, your dreams, your pain. Jung taught that we meet the divine within, not above. As we integrate our inner world, the outer world begins to shift. Relationships deepen, purpose clarifies. The search for meaning becomes the expression of meaning. You are no longer seeking the path, you are the path. The awakened soul lives with awareness, humility, and compassion. It honors both reason and mystery. It no longer needs to control because it trusts the flow. Jung called this living under one's inner law. So if you find yourself lost or breaking down, don't turn away. You may be awakening. Trust the process. Follow the symbols. Listen inward. Your soul already knows the way. If you're enjoying this video, please give us a like. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel Psychosophy for more content like this. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so share your opinion in the comments below and hit the bell to receive notifications for our latest uploads. See you in the next video.